There's a guy who likes games, and the best that he's played are the ones that you'll see on the top 100. Repeat that part. Top 100 games. Good.
But you like that I get a little bit, just a little bit freaky. That's right, I'm a little bit freaky. Oh yeah, I'm a little bit freaky. Open up.
Hello and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man of board game review shows. My name is Cody, and joining me today is
George.
And Holly.
And this is the final top 10 of my top 100 games of all time. And I'm joined by George and Holly, who are going to go ahead and give their top 10 games of all time as well. You'll recognize Holly, who recently reviewed 6 Nimpt on the show, although we found out that's not how you pronounce it. So anyway, without any further ado, we're going to jump right into it. George, what is your number 10 game of all time?
Number 10 game of all time, For Sale.
For Sale?
Yeah.
Who's that by?
Yeah.
Do you recall?
Maybe Mayfair.
Okay.
Maybe.
What's For Sale about?
It's just it's a fun little auction game. With real estate properties and everything. You auction.
Oh, is this the one we played the one
filler.
time, Holly? Yeah, okay, I played For Sale. Yeah, that is a fun game.
It's a fun little game. You bid on the properties all the way from like a cardboard box to a space station, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. All right, what is your number 9 or number 10? Sorry, Holly.
My number 10 it's going to be a social game.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily a board game.
Okay, that's fine.
But it's a good game for greasing the wheels, and that is Werewolf.
Werewolf, okay.
Yes.
You know, I have never played Werewolf.
Really?
I've played Resistance. We played Resistance together.
Yeah.
But I've never played Werewolf, yeah.
No, Werewolf is a great game for, like I called it, a social game for large groups of people that aren't necessarily gamers,
Okay.
but that you know will have a good time if they had a chance to play. So, Werewolf, big fan.
Werewolf is one where people die, and then they kind of don't have anything to do till the next game. So sometimes people like the Resistance better because
There's
no player elimination. But with Werewolf, you can do a lot of fun things like set it in space or whatever. It can be fun.
Well, I'll have to try it. I know they've done some variations like Ultimate Werewolf and stuff like that. So I've heard nothing but good things, but no, I've never actually played it. So we'll have to do it. All right, that is your number 10, Werewolf. My number 10 is one of my favorite games. Played this a few years ago and fell in love with it. It's kind of a light war game. It's Frederick from Rio Grande Games, released here for Rio Grande Games. It's set in the 7 Years' War. One of you is Frederick the Great, one of you the Russians, the French, et cetera, and you're all kind of fighting, but you got to make your supply lines. But the way you actually move your pieces and stuff and how you keep them in supply is it's really cool. We got to play that. I got to bring that sometime for us to play.
So what makes it a light war game?
Well, it's just not too heavy. I mean, as opposed like a heavy war game. When I think of a heavy war game, I think of something like ASL or something that's just minutia, and you're looking, you facings. You got to know which direction certain units are facing. Their ammo, how much ammo has each little unit got, and you get really into the minutia there. I played a game about the American Revolutionary War once, a war game that just the minutia killed you.
Yeah.
It just didn't make it fun. So a heavier war game I'm not going to do, but Frederick is a good light war game. It's fun. I actually think you get a kick. You could play cards. Combat's really fun because you play like old playing cards, and it's like you try to add up numbers to win. It's absolutely fun. Well, I will bring that. We will play that sometime. You guys would love Frederick.
Is there any light treason in the light war game? Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. So that is my number 10, Frederick. All right. So number 9. I'll start with number 9.
Okay.
If that's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
My number 9 is a game we have played that I brought over once. I think we played it with Justin, and that is from Wizards of the Coast, Conquest of Nerath. You remember it's kind of like the Axis and Allies, but it's fantasy.
Yeah.
That one is a lot of fun. I really like it. That was on the list last time. I should put it. Frederick, which was my number 10. That was number 9 last year, so that just moved down 1 point. Conquest of Nerath, which is 9 this year, was my number 8 last year, so it moved down 1 point. But still, it's a great. Again, light war game, a lot of different dice, a lot of different kinds of units. Really enjoy Conquest of Nerath. Great fantasy light war game. Holly, what is your number 9?
My number 9 is going to be another social game.
Okay.
I feel it's important in your game collection to make sure you have some party games, more or less. And so my number 9 is going to be Loaded questions.
I've not played Loaded Questions. What's that?
The basis of loaded questions is you ask a question to the entire group. Everybody in the group answers by writing down their answer. And then one person has to guess what answer goes to what person.
Okay.
And it always ends up in one of two ways. You have the group that's very honest all the time, and so you end up learning crazy things about everybody, or you have the group that is as creative as they possibly can get, and you end up just rolling on the floor laughing. So, Loaded Questions is a good one.
Yeah.
It does actually come with a board game, but we've gotten rid of that a long time ago and just have fun asking questions.
There's like a board game component to it, you mean?
Yeah, there is. Like, you roll a die, you move to this color or number, and you read that one on the card. But, we just play where you just ask a good question on the card and see what happens.
That's the
see
meat
the
of the
magic
game,
Yeah.
happens.
Do you know who puts that out?
I don't.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, so George,
Yes.
what is your number 9?
My number 9 is a fun little game called Last Night on Earth.
Ah, Last Night on Earth.
We have a lot of fun playing with it. You got zombies, you've got heroes. We also have it with the Growing Hunger expansion, so that kind of made things more fun. I always got to play as the zombie master, and so it was always fun trying to chase everyone down and eat them.
That's a fun game. I played that for the first time with you guys, and I played it a few times since, but I really enjoy it. In fact, I think that's like in my 70s. I think I put that in my 70s or 80s. I can't remember what it was. But it's on the list. It's in my top 100. It's a fun game.
Yeah.
It's like a B movie. I mean, they really play up the whole B movie aspect of it there. Mm-hmm. Really enjoy it.
Has good atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
And good artwork.
Well, it's the photographs.
Yeah.
So you got the photographs, and that's what Flying Frog does a lot. Flying Frog Productions. More of their games they do. There's a few that come out recently that's they do artwork, but it's really more about photographs and stuff like that. So, all right, Last Night on Earth, very good. That was your number 9. Very good. Why don't you go ahead and George? Why don't you get us started with your number 8?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the cooperative favorite, Pandemic.
Really? That high?
Yeah, I really like Pandemic.
A lot of people do.
Kind of, I don't know, just a lot of fun. It moves pretty quick. It's always fun when disaster happens and you're destroyed in a turn when you thought you were going to win. But
yeah, Z-Man Games put that out. I played Pandemic. I enjoy Pandemic, but I'm just not mad in love with it like so many people are. I mean, it was one of like the first real big co-ops that really succeeded. But I enjoy it. But although I am looking very much forward to Pandemic Legacy, which just came out, which is one where you can alter the board as you play it every
Risk
time.
Legacy,
it's like Risk. It's the same kind of deal, but it's in Pandemic. It just came out here, I think, last week.
Yeah. Now I've only played the first edition of Pandemic, so I don't know if the second edition is any good or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only played the first edition myself. So.
That's how I roll, though.
All right. So that is Pandemic from Z-Man Games, your number 8. Holly. Actually, I'll go next, and we'll start with you this time. So my number 8 is a game you and I have played before. It was a while ago at Sean's apartment, and that was Space Empires 4X.
Oh, yeah.
Space Empires 4X. This is from GMT Games. This is a great war game. Again, more of a lighter war game, but it's science fiction. It's 4X because you are exploring, you are exploiting all the fun.
And I was annihilated.
Well, we ganged up on you. It was a 3-player game. It was me and Sean. And George looked like the easiest pickings.
There's something about me. People like to gang up on me. I don't know what it is.
But it's a fun game. I think it's a really good war game. I love the science fiction theme. And I got the expansion a while ago. I still haven't played with the expansion. It's been a long time since I played it, but it's just a great, great game. So that is my number 8, Space Empires 4X. It was my number 6 last year, so it has moved down. But that's GMT Games. Really enjoy it. Holly, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is the last of my social games on my list, and that is the Resistance Avalon.
Resistance Avalon.
Yes.
Now, have you played the original Resistance?
Yes.
And why do you prefer Resistance Avalon? Or maybe you don't. Well, I guess you said it's the last social one on your list.
Yeah, it's just a hair's breadth over the traditional Resistance because I like the extra little flavor that Avalon gives it. Just a little more texture to the theme of the game.
With the Merlin and the assassin and stuff like that.
Exactly, the character cards, yeah.
Yeah, that is fun. And we did a playthrough of that last year that you can see on our channel, The Discriminating Gamer, of the Resistance Avalon. We had a lot of fun with that, although Stan he does not have a poker face at all. And it was the easiest thing. And you were Merlin. It was so it's because you're going back and you're watching that. It's so obvious that you were Merlin, but at the time it's like, who's Merlin?
Trying to hint.
It was awesome, and really at the end it did come down to. I mean, we won all the missions. The good guys won all the missions, and really it came down to the assassin trying to pick who Merlin was, and he thought it was me, and it was George, and we won the game, and that was a lot of fun. So that was great. That is from Indie Boards and Cards, and that is Resistance Avalon, your number 8.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, Holly, why don't you start us in with your number 7?
All right. I've moved through the social games. Now I'm getting into the more traditional board games, and there is one caveat to all of these games that I'm going to give.
All right.
And that's that for a game to become one of my top 10 favorites, I have to really get to know it. Be one with the game. We have to go on a few dates. It has to take me out to dinner,
Right.
kind of a thing. So a lot of the games on my list are simply ones that I've played 100 times and I really know them well. So with that in mind, my number 7s, I have a tie, 2 of them. One is Starfarers of Catan.
Okay, great. All right.
Love that game, but I didn't know if it would count because it's out of print. So
No, that's fine.
my other one is Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Oh, yeah, Betrayal and House of the Hill.
I love trader games.
Yeah.
And that's a really good example.
And
of
you've
one.
got the second edition, don't you? I mean, first edition. That's right. Yeah, you got that original first edition.
How we roll.
I know. That is a fun game. I like that game. That's Wizards of the Coast, I believe, puts that out.
Now, it was Avalon.
Was it? Yeah, that's right. It was Avalon Hill. Now it's Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
But that's a great game because you never know how it's going to play out because there's always a different story involved, and how the game evolves is always different, and it's always fun. All right, so Holly, why don't you tell us what is it you like about Starfarers Catan?
I really like that it has all of the charm of the original Catan games, but then adds in a little bit of flair. Like, I like that it's set in space. I like that you can interact with different alien races. And I love that you actually have your own rocket that you get to customize and shake, and it's this big, tangible thing that you get to play with throughout the game.
That is fun. There's I contend that in a lot of games, especially games with minis and stuff like that, there's kind of a toy factor in those games, and there's kind of that feeling of like, you feel like you're 8 years old again playing with these things, and I think that's true. And Starfarers is a fun game. All right, and that was your number 7. So George, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Small World.
Small World from Days of Wonder.
Gonna go with Small World on this
Okay.
one. Small World is a lot of fun. Area control game. It's like Risk, but not really, because you don't really roll any dice to attack or defend.
A little bit you do.
A little bit, yeah. On your last takeover of a location, you'll roll a die, but you have all the different races and power combinations that just really mix things up. I also do like how you take over locations without rolling the dice. I've sometimes described it to friends as risk without the tears. Because you don't have people wanting to throw the board across the room in rage because their 10 armies can't defeat one army in a location or whatever type of a thing. So yeah, it's pretty fun. So.
See, for me, the best part of Small World is when you pick your races and you put them together and you form like that kind of new combination, and then it's all downhill from there. I don't care. I don't care for Small World. I love a lot of Days of Wonder games, but Small World is not one of them. And I'll tell you why. I do not care. All things being equal, I do not care for deterministic combat. I don't like just the sheer numbers game that becomes when it comes to combat. And I don't know. That's a game that's just never captured my imagination. So, I'm not a huge fan. Do you like Small World?
I do. It's my next one.
Oh! How terrible. Well, all right. God bless you. But not me. Days of Wonder from, Small World from Days of Wonder. Okay, that was your number 6? 7,
yeah.
That was number 7.
Yeah, why not? 7.
Well, then let's just go ahead. Your number 7 is?
No, I already did my number 7.
Oh, you did your 7. Okay, I'm sorry. Then it's my turn. My number 7 is a game we all played with Darren here behind the camera. And that was XCOM, the board game. And it's from Fantasy Flight Games, and that's a game where with the app, with the alien invasions coming down, you got to get the information off the app. Now that's just a new game that's new to the list this year. It to me puts the pressure on, and the big fear before this game came out was if it's got an app, it's kind of a video game, and it's not going to be what a traditional board game is. And I was kind of worried about that too. Is the app going to take over? And all the app does is it gives you information. It is very much a board game. You are constantly negotiating that game. You are constantly sweating. You're still rolling dice. It still comes down to the human component. The app is just kind of like a rule book giving you information, or a scenario book giving you information. And it does it in a fun and interesting way. And I absolutely have a ball with XCOM. I think that's a very fun game.
I agree. Loved XCOM as well. I loved the tension that it gave us. Like, most board games don't have a real pressure for time, but that one, you had to get things done when you needed to get them done. You were motivated to get that game through.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And the scariest thing is when you get all your pieces covered, everything taken care of, the way you think you need to get them taken care of, and then the commander didn't add up your budget right, and so you lose. Things get scarier because your continents are moving closer to panic.
Yeah, and I just thought the game was okay.
You're not a big fan of XCOM.
It was okay. Maybe I need to play it again.
Yeah.
I'll give it another shot. I don't know.
All right, I really enjoyed it. So that is my number 7. That's XCOM. So now we'll move on to my number 6, or as they say in Germany, sex. Anyway, this is another game from Fantasy Flight Games. This is a Game of Thrones, the board game, 2nd edition. Now, this is a game we played here. Game of Thrones, the board game, 2nd edition, is, to me, one of my favorite big, sweeping, strategic games. And it's a riff on diplomacy, where you have to negotiate. No one player is strong enough to take over everything by himself, so he has to make alliances. But of course, the person you make an alliance with one turn is going to be your potential enemy the next turn. You don't want anyone around you to get too powerful. And there's that idea where you all make agreements, and then you kind of simultaneously lay down your tokens and then reveal them, so you can totally screw people over as the game evolves. And it's just brilliant. My favorite mechanic in board games is negotiation, and this is a game that is all about negotiation. I love Game of Thrones, the board game.
That's a game that I definitely want to get to know better.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it the first time I played it. I would like to play it again and again and again.
Yeah, I really liked it too. Yeah, no complaints. I'd like to play it again as well. So
It is. Well, I mean, it's number 6 on my top 100, so I love it. I love it. All right, George, what is your number 6?
Okay, number 6 is Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
House on the Hill. All right.
Boom.
Okay.
I do. I just really love the traitor mechanic. How you don't know who the traitor is.
Even the traitor doesn't know who the traitor is.
Until later in the game. Yeah. So
it is.
It's a blast.
It is. It's a brilliant game. And too, one thing we got to mention about when we talk about the game is replayability.
Yes.
Because and not only, I mean, even if you play the same scenarios, the way the house is going to evolve is still going to be different. The maybe the characters you're bringing into it are going to be different, and of course, when the event, when the what is it called? The haunt.
Yeah.
When the haunt is triggered, it's always going to be different when that happens. So it's just mounds of replayability in that game. 50 different potential haunts, but as I say, even them, there's going to be variation in how they appear and stuff. So really enjoy that game.
And and a great thing about the first edition game too is you can have the underground lake on the top floor.
You can't do that in the other one.
Yeah, it's extra magic.
I can't remember where I put that. I want to say that's like in my around 30 for me. I can't remember off the top of my head where I put that one, but it's that's a very good game.
You're probably going to find that we have a lot of the same.
Oh, I'm
They're
sure
just in
you
different
do.
orders. So
That's fine. That's absolutely.
Be ready
cool.
for that.
All right,
Be awesome.
That was your 6. Holly, what is your number 6?
My 6 was Small World, but let me explain why I like Small World.
All
One,
right.
I'm really good at it, but 2,
She kills me all the time.
I do. It feels like business to me. Like that's how business operates. You have a product and you have to know exactly when to put it out, how long it should be out there, when you need to take it back and try a new strategy. So I don't know, it just feels like business. I don't know how better to describe it.
So what you're saying is instead of getting an MBA, you could just play Small World a lot and get pretty much the same.
Yeah,
Economics game.
that's what I'm trying to say.
All right,
Cool,
well, very
cool.
good. Once again, at Small World Days of Number, your number 6. Holly, why don't you get us started off with your number 5?
Ooh.
I'm going to have that be Ticket to Ride Europe.
Ticket to Ride Europe.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Why Europe? because out of all the Ticket to Rides out, again, this is Days of Wonder. Why Europe? Why is that your favorite?
I really like the Europe board because I think it's the one that introduces train stations.
Train stations, yeah.
Which is an asset when you have evil players that put trains down right on your route and you need that spot. It also...
It's got tunnels.
Has tunnels.
And ferries.
Exactly, tunnels and ferries. A nice kind of...
Yeah, spice things up a
new
little.
thing to throw into the game.
I like Europe a lot. In fact, I think the first one I played was Europe with you. I think you guys had me play that the first time. But I like a lot of those mechanics you're bringing into it. But I got the anniversary edition of the original, and that's what I love to play. It's just so beautiful, the map and the pieces and stuff like that. But it is it doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that Europe does, but it's still a lot of fun. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We really want to try the anniversary map too.
Well, maybe I'll have to bring that over at some point.
Maybe.
Too many games to review is the problem.
Yeah.
Hard life.
First world problems. All right. George, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is a little game called Cyrano.
Cyrano.
Now, Cyrano is, it's a party game. But what you're doing is you're writing poems.
Okay.
You're creating your own poems. What Cyrano does is you get you're doing 4-line poems, and 2 of the lines have to end with a certain sound, like est or ac.
And you draw what sound it's going to be.
Yep. You draw which ones that 2 lines have to end with a certain sound. The 2 others have to end with another one, so they rhyme at least a little bit. And then you also draw a card that kind of gives you the theme or what the poems are about. And then you all sit there and everybody writes their poems and stuff, and then you go around and get to read your wonderful works of art that you've slaved over. Usually they're just ridiculous, so you don't take it too seriously usually. Of course, there will be a couple that'll take it seriously, and if you don't vote, because then after that, then you vote for your favorite, the favorite one, and then, you get points that way by who voted for yours or how. If your poem didn't have the same words as somebody else's poem with the rhyming words and everything, you kind of... It's fun because the scorecard is Cyrano down on the bottom and the Roxanne at the top, and you get points for writing your poem, so it's more unique than the others. You'll get points going up, and then the more points that people like the game or like your poem the best will be points going down, and as soon as the 2 meet, then you've won.
And that's an interesting.
You got her and stuff, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot of fun.
It's a fun, creative.
It's hilarious. Yes.
Do you know who put that out? What company?
Amigo.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. It's right here. Repos.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Repos. With the hat. Sombrero. Okay.
Well, that's delightful. All right, so that's Cyrano.
Yes, Cyrano.
That is Cyrano.
All right. My number 5. Now, first of all, too, I neglected to mention. I mentioned my Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is my number 6. It was number 4 last year, so it actually fell 2 spots.
Whoa, that's a good game.
It is. But
right,
there's these I think I like a little bit better.
Okay.
My number 5 was my number 3 last year.
Okay.
And it's a pretty fun game.
Pretty fun.
It's a game you kind of have to collect. But it is Star Wars X-Wing. Star Wars X-Wing.
Yes.
Star Wars X-Wing, fun little miniatures game, and a big part of the appeal is the fact that it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
You love the Star Wars theme, you love the Star Wars world that's created there, universe that's created there, and it's just a lot of fun. But it's a just fun little tactical game. To me, half the fun is building your ships. Making the building the squads that you're going to play with, and then seeing how they actually perform. And I know Sean and Justin last year when I was talking about this game, they were kind of a little critical of it. And my feeling is, to me, when I'm talking about games like Negotiation, and so much of it depends on personality. I think there's a lot of personality in X-Wing that you have to play against because you're always asking yourself, okay, what maneuver are they going to make, and what should I make to counter it? So when you're looking at your dials, there's always that question of, okay, you're trying to outguess the other guy to see how can I set myself up for an optimum shot. So where is he going to go? And I really like that aspect to X-Wing.
One thing that I really like about that game, just like you were saying earlier, is it brings out your inner 8-year-old.
It does.
You're just having fun with it, but there's a layer of sophistication over it that makes you not feel like you're playing a little kid's game. You still feel like you're playing a game that's meant to engage adults while also going, tee Star Wars and ships.
It is.
Yeah.
It's and there's the huge toy factor. No doubt about it. There's a huge toy factor there with that game, and that's it just does it so well, and it's just a fun game. And one thing I will mention though, as they're moving further and further away from the ships in the movies, as they're bringing in ships from like the cartoons and the expanded universe, I find I'm less interested in that. I still like it, but you really like the ships that you saw in the movies and stuff. And they just came out with a core set from Force Awakens. Now that's exciting, and it'll be really exciting to see the new ships that those movies introduce. And maybe like with Rogue One and the anthology films when they come out, maybe they'll introduce some new ships. And so that's really exciting. But Star Wars X-Wing, again, Fantasy Flight Games, that is my number 5. All right, so let's go ahead and look here at my number 4. Number 4 is new to the list this year.
Oh.
And it, too, is a Star Wars game. This is Star Wars Armada.
What?
What? I actually like this better than X-Wing. I don't know if you guys have played Armada.
I've not, no.
It's the capital ships. It's the Star Destroyers. It's the frigates. It's the big ships. And it's a much more strategic game. Whereas you feel like you're in, the tactical dogfights with X-Wing, in Armada you are in these kind of grand, epic space battles. And what's cool is it gives you more choices. Like when you're defending, it's not simply a matter of rolling dice to see if you can evade. You actually have choices of different tokens to maybe move shields around because you're determining how many shields you have on each side of your ship, or maybe having the number of hits you take. And then you've also got little fighters that are going around the board too. And it's just a brilliant strategic game, but it's still got that Star Wars toy factor that you get with X-Wing. So I really, really enjoy Star Wars Armada quite a bit. Again, that's Fantasy Flight Games, my number 4. So George, why don't you go ahead?
Number 4 for me is Starfarers of Catan.
Ah.
Yeah, what do you know?
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of fun. You get the mothership, and it's got the little colored balls, how you move and everything, and you don't want to get blackballed. Well,
No.
sometimes you do.
Yep.
But anyway,
No.
that's how it rolls in deep space.
It's a fun and interesting game, and I think what Holly said earlier about it is there's enough of the Catan flavor that it feels familiar, but there's enough new there, and the science fiction
Yeah, and you've got
theme of it.
you've got the ship movement, which is a departure from the Catan
Right,
and
right.
everything.
So no, that's good.
So, yeah.
That's Mayfair Games.
Mayfair, yep.
Releases that domestically. All right, and that was your number 4.
Yep.
All righty, Holly, what is your number 4?
It's getting tough now, Cody. It's getting really tough. I think my number 4 is going to be Last Night on Earth.
Last Night on Earth, really?
I really like it because its atmosphere really gets me. Like, I just feel like I'm in a B horror movie running away from zombies. I like the play. I like feeling like I'm the characters, and there's enough strategy in it, but it's easy enough that it's quick to learn.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it is. It is
Yeah,
good.
I love theme too. A lot of theme is good.
It is, and that's something we ought to address here too briefly. Is just how important theme is in games. Because you can have great. I played games that I thought were very clever, had very good mechanics, and just if the theme doesn't drag me in, I'm not going to love it. I may like it a lot, but I'm not going to love it. And I think a lot of times, decent mechanics, maybe not amazing mechanics, but decent mechanics and a great theme can make me fall in love with a game.
Yes. Yeah.
And dare I say that probably is the case with Last Night on Earth. I mean, the mechanics I don't think are anything to jump up and shout out about, but I mean they're not horrible either.
Yeah.
But the theme is so much fun, So, all right, so that is your number 4, Last Night on Earth. Okay, so number 3.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I don't like this. Okay, I'm cheating for number 3, just like I did for a number ago, and I'm combining 2 games into one.
Okay.
Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror.
Ooh, see, and I separated them. Eldritch is my number 11, and Arkham's like 80-something. So I separated them. But why did you put them together?
Because they're very similar. I almost feel like when they created Arkham first, they kept all of the ideas of the way they could go and were like, hey, we could build another game out of this, and then created Eldritch horror out of it. So there are a lot of similarities enough that I'm putting them on the same, but there are differences enough that I totally understand why you would have such a big separation between the two.
Okay, all right. For me, I think Eldritch kind of killed Arkham. I mean, I like Arkham, but if I'm given a choice, I think I'm always going to choose Eldritch, just because it's more streamlined, it plays faster, and it's not as fiddly as Arkham is. And I can understand the appeal of Arkham. There's a lot of cool stuff in Arkham, but I just feel like Eldritch does it so much better. But that's just my opinion. But
I like them both.
Sacrilege, but oh well.
They're both Fantasy Flight games, and they're both fantastic games. Arkham can be long, though.
It can. It can get very, very long.
And I don't mind long games. I mean, Game of Thrones is a very long game. I don't mind long games as long as they're good. But of the choice of the two, I think I prefer... And I like the epic scope of Eldritch over Arkham, personally.
I feel their epicness of scope is equal.
All right. Fair enough. So that is your number 3. That is Eldritch and Arkham Horror. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my number 3 now. I'll get back to George. My number 3 was my number 5 last year. It actually moved up 2 points because the more I think about this game, the more in love with this game I am. And that is Fury of Dracula. Now, right now, we are eagerly awaiting the 3rd edition to see what new surprises they bring to it. So this is based on the 2nd edition. If you want to see how to play the game, you can check out our review on Season 1, Episode 6 of The Discriminating Gamer, where we actually meet Dracula, and he helps us learn how to play this game.
Oh, nice.
It is. He was actually not a bad guy.
Okay.
You know what? I've known lawyers that were bigger bloodsuckers. But, I got to tell you, Fury of Dracula, to me, is the greatest... The hidden movement mechanic here is so much fun. And you're going all over Europe, and the combat is cool. It's just a nail-biter, no matter if you're Dracula or if you're the hunters. There's negotiation among the hunters about how they should proceed. It's just... Oh, man. It's a great game. Now, again, this is a game that can be long. It does depend on a couple of things. You need a proactive Dracula. You need a Dracula that's not afraid to step out of the shadows and attack. If he's running the whole game, you probably won't find him, and it won't be that much fun. But if Dracula is willing to attack and reveal himself once in a while, it really, really picks up, and I really enjoy that quite a bit.
Now, here's a game, kind of like you against Small World, that I just have to completely disagree with you on.
Really?
Yes. We own Fury of Dracula, and I've played it twice. Mm-hmm. And both times, my character just kept getting stuck. Like, I would be attacked in such a way, or I would be, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what happened, except that the majority of the game, I literally did nothing. Like, I would sit and converse with other people because I was not playing.
If you get stuck on the wrong side of the board, that can happen. That can happen. I know that happened to Justin one time we were playing where I was Dracula and I was like hanging out like around Greece and he was in England. And like the whole game, he didn't have much to do. So that, I agree, that is a potential problem of the game. But I thought you enjoyed the game more than that, though. I thought you...
I am willing to give it another shot. That's why I don't always shoot it down when we talk about it. Because I'm willing to try it again. But at the same time, to have both times of my play be falling into that trap, that's too easy.
Maybe next time we play it, you ought to be Dracula.
Maybe that'll solve my problem.
The first time we played this was with Sean Brennan, and he hated it. And to this day, every time I bring it up, he goes, "Oh, that's a terrible, terrible game." He did not like Fury of Dracula, but I got to get him to play the game because I freaking love it. You like Fury of Dracula?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think I played Dracula both times, maybe. So it's a lot of fun to be Dracula.
Well, yeah, I'll try being one of the hunters next time.
I'll have to try that.
All right.
So,
well, it's
see
good.
What happens.
Fury of Dracula, that is my, again, Fantasy Flight Games, that is my number 3. What is your number 3 there, George?
I'm going to go with Ticket to Ride Europe.
Ticket to Ride Europe?
For number 3? Seriously? We've played it so much. Like, the cards kind of, you smell them and they smell like clay, you know? Like, there's, like, we should have really put them in sleeves. We've played it so much. Now, I've only played America original Ticket to Ride and Ticket to Ride Europe, so I don't know how the other maps go, but it's just been a lot of fun, especially with the expansion. You have to have the expansions just for all the extra routes, because if you don't have the expansions, and if you've played it with people that have played it quite a few times, as soon as you start going, people are going to figure out what your long route is, and then they'll start trying to block you or whatever. So you need to have the expansion. I've even played it with Alvin and Dexter, and that just throws so much chaos into it.
So
I don't know. It makes
that's
it
good or bad?
Oh, both.
It can be both. It can be both.
You
It
can
just
lose
makes it
friendships
so
with Alvin and Dexter.
random. Yeah. Last move, you move Alvin or Dexter in someone's long route, and then, it's minus points instead of positive points, and then feelers get hurt. But yeah, I don't know. Good times.
But it is, again, I really enjoy Ticket to Ride Europe, too. That's Days of Wonder. Very, very good game. Why don't you go ahead and give us your number 2 there?
Ooh, my number 2?
Your number 2.
My
To
number
me,
2.
you look like number 2.
All right. I put Tichu as number 2.
I'm jumping in. That one's my number 2 as
Boom.
well.
High five.
Boom.
Yeah.
Tichu. No, is this the one we played with? I think it was like your birthday at
Yes.
the restaurant with the fireworks. Is that the one?
Yes. Well, not
Well, it's not
fireworks.
dragons.
But dragons.
Dragons.
Phoenix.
Hanabi, but yeah.
Hanabi. I'm thinking of
You're thinking
Hanabi.
Hanabi. But yeah, Taichu is just a great game. You've probably
It's a
played.
card game.
Yep.
A trick-taking card game. So it's not technically a board game, but there's a whole ton of strategy to it, and it can turn on a dime. You can think you're winning, and then all of a sudden you completely lose
Yep.
the entire
And
game.
you want to play with partners, so with 4 or 6 players, you can play with more than that. But then you're just playing for yourself. But playing in a team is just makes it just a lot of fun, and you've got all kind of fun things to do. But learning it can be a bit of a chore. I do recommend watching a video on how to learn Taichu. But after that, learn it and play it. We've actually had to get a second deck of Taichu cards because we played it so much that they just got all kind of, they smelled like clay.
But boy, you sure know you made a good investment if the cards start falling apart, because they got their money's worth there. Do you know what company prints that? No? All right. Very good.
Days of
Mayfair games. All right. So that was your number 2.
Yes.
Taichu.
And it was her number 2 as well.
Yes.
And it's your number 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I seriously love that game. In fact, it was a hard fight against my number 1, and I'm not sure. Taichu is just so good.
All right. Okay. Very good. So my number 2 is a game that I played with Darren. I haven't played with you two, and that is Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica from Fantasy Flight Games. First of all, I loved the TV show. I was a big fan of the Battlestar Galactica TV show, and I can't think of a board game that I think as brilliantly captures the feel of the source material the way Battlestar Galactica does. The game captures the TV show, because when you watch that show, it was paranoia. The show was all about paranoia. Who's a Cylon? Who can we trust? And all these various crises that will pop up. And the game does that so well. You're constantly thinking, okay, who is the traitor? Who is the traitor? Who amongst us is the traitor? How are these crises going to affect us? What's going to happen here? It's a brilliant game. Speaking of traitor games, and this is a hidden traitor game, so the person knows who they are right from the beginning of the game, at least, and then one person maybe later on, or maybe a couple more, can become Cylons. But it's just, man alive, I love that game so much. I haven't played it in a while now. It's probably been over a year since I played it the last time. But it is fun. It is really cool.
I do have a question about that game.
Yeah.
Now, is it true that Battlestar Galactica, the game, is based off of Murder, She Wrote, the board game?
It is.
Okay.
They're virtually identical. They're virtually identical. In fact, I'm playing it sometimes, and I'm saying Commander Adama, and then I have to wait and think, it is Commander Adama. It's not Jessica Fletcher. Yeah. Because, Murder, She Wrote was amazing.
Except for everybody was Jessica Fletcher, so they were kind of like the clones?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
But,
sorry, got a little hot in here. That's a lot of
everybody wants their own Jessica Fletcher clone. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Battlestar Galactica, my number 2,
Sounds
again,
fun.
that is Fantasy Flight Games. Okay, so now we are down to our number 1. So let's just go ahead and take it from Holly. And so what is your number 1 game of all time? Remember, there are no takebacks.
I think you can agree with me on this one, Cody.
All right, go ahead.
Cthulhu Wars.
Whoa,
Ooh.
good. That's good choice. Really, number 1 of all time.
Yes.
Wow.
She really likes it.
I did.
Yeah.
I really liked it a lot.
Cthulhu Wars is my number 12. It just missed my top 10. But wow, you know what? I'll give you some of that. I think that Cthulhu Wars is amazing. What do you love about Cthulhu Wars?
I love the figurines. That's a big part of it. I love the setting. I really like H.P. Lovecraft and everything there. I love the mechanics of it. I like the strategy that's required. And even though it has a lot of strategy to it, it doesn't feel like it's overly bogged down with a ton of little rules here and there that you have to remember. I do feel like it's generally easy to learn. And that's important to me in board games, is that they be easy to learn. It's really hard to get into a game when you're spending 3/4 of it just trying to figure out what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So this is one that has good strategy to it while also being easy to learn quickly.
It is. It is Sandy Peterson Games. And I actually interviewed Sandy Peterson a while ago. I actually talked to him on the phone. Neat guy, really cool guy. Really cool. He's from Utah here originally. He lives in Texas now.
Oh.
But he had some really cool stories and stuff about how he designed the game. But I love that game because first of all, it's like 90 minutes, and you're looking at that map, you're looking at those minis, and you're thinking, this game looks amazing. It cannot be that much fun, and it cannot last only 90 minutes. And you're playing the game, and it's lasting about 90 minutes, and it's amazing. And I got to tell you, I knew you'd like this game. I didn't know it would make your top 10 because it's a light war game. I mean, at its heart, it's a light war game. And I know you're not a big fan. Usually, you're not a big fan of war games or light war games.
Well, one of the reasons why I don't like war games is they tend to take too long to learn. There are just too many rules to them and too many little nuances that I have to keep remembering, and I don't want to relearn a game that I only play once every 6 months. So,
Right.
Learnability is really big on my list of importance.
They've got the Kickstarter for Cthulhu Wars for the expansions coming out here, I think this month or next month, but pretty quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
And great game, Cthulhu Wars. Fantastic game. All right, George, what is your number 1 game?
All right, my number 1 game, I'm going to go with the whole H.P. Lovecraft thing going on, which I'm always a sucker for. I'm going to pull a trick out of Holly's hat and go with Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror together.
Both of them.
I know, but they're so different, you say. Things I love about Arkham Horror, I kind of like the fiddly bits and that it takes a while. I also love, the one thing I like better in Arkham Horror than Eldritch is Arkham has little cardboard money.
So
that'd be awesome.
You've got little cardboard tickets in Eldritch Horror.
You do. Now, if you could use cardboard money from Arkham to buy cardboard tickets from Eldritch, it'd be the perfect game. Now, I do have like all the expansions for Arkham Horror. Have not played with all expansions at once. That would be wow.
Yeah.
But
you know, one area where I think Eldritch though trumps Arkham in a big way is I love the fact how in Eldritch, when your character dies, you put their card there and they become an encounter that somebody else can
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I think Eldritch has made a lot of great improvements and stuff on it, but Arkham just has a special place in my heart.
All right.
And Eldritch is great. I love it.
So Arkham you like for the nostalgia.
Arkham is definitely nostalgia. Eldritch, it is really nice to, because I know with Arkham we'd set up the game and we'd play it, but we'd leave it set up because we kind of want to play again, but we don't want to put it all away and then bring it all out again to play. So that's one nice thing, especially about Eldritch.
Very good. So Eldritch and Arkham Horror again, fantasy games. Both very good games. Both of my top 100. So very good games. Now it's time for my number 1. I cannot tell you the amount of secrecy I've had to devote to this. I've had to hire some security to keep this out of the papers. It's been really tough, and people shouldn't have gone to all the trouble because my number 1 this year, as Battlestar Galactica was my number 2 last year, and it was my number 2 this year, my number 1 last year is my number 1 this year. That is, of course, everybody in this room's true favorite game, Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition. Twilight Imperium, I love Twilight Imperium.
Oh, bless your heart.
But it's not a game you can play on. But although we played it last year probably 4 or 5 times.
Oh, we played it.
You played it one
and
time.
I got crushed again. There's something about big epic games where I just.
But you came after me. We were neighbors, and I was all for being friendly with you. And you said, "No, I'm going to attack Cody." So you deserved everything you got, jerk. But no, I love how epic that game is, and I love the fact that you've got trade, you've got combat, you've got diplomacy, negotiation. There's so many layers to that game, and of course the science fiction theme is just, for me, amazing. And I know it's one of your favorite games.
You put a lot of words in my mouth about this game. It's true that I didn't care for it the first time we played it, but a large reason I didn't care for it is because it's one of those games that takes forever to learn.
It does. There's a big learning curve with it.
Exactly. So most of my game spent that time was just spent. I constantly had to be reminded of.
Well, you brought your laptop and we're looking up things as we're playing it. I remember that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I am willing to give Twilight Imperium another shot.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
I'm not willing to say that it's a bad game. I just don't know it well enough to say either way.
All right. Well, very good. We'll have to work out a time to play that one again too, because to me, that is what board games are all about. The experiences that creates, and a big part of that too. Like a lot of these games, like Arkham and Eldritch, like a lot of these other games, a big part of Twilight is that role-playing aspect. Mm-hmm. You really can read your characters, their abilities and their stuff, and there's that. There's just that, there's the game on the board, and then there's the game in your head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you really appreciate kind of the fun you can have on that level. So that is my number one, Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition, my number one last year. Really quickly, I just want to say, out of my top 10 games, now there's a lot of great game companies, but I have to admit this, out of my top 10 games, 7 of them, in fact, this year the top 7 games were all Fantasy Flight. So Fantasy Flight's...
they make a good game.
They do. I mean, and I say there are a lot of really good game companies out there, a lot of game companies I'm in love with, but it just seems like the games that I feel consistently knock it out of the park come from Fantasy Flight games, because they usually great mechanics, great theme, great artwork, great components. Just they usually, I mean, I played some stinkers from Fantasy Flight. Don't get me wrong, but it just seems like when they're good, they do just about as good as anybody out there, if not better. So, all right. Really quickly before we wrap up today, one question I wanted to ask. I want to ask is, do you have a favorite 2015 game? I think you've already answered that.
Yeah, that'd be Cthulhu Wars.
Cthulhu Wars.
2015 game?
Yeah.
That came out in 2015?
Yeah. Game that came out this year.
Did Eldritch come out this year?
No, Eldritch was 13.
Ah, nuts.
Problem is we play so many.
I know.
That it's
I'm
hard
just
to
trying
remember.
to think which ones that we've done.
For me, and on my list too, it's probably Armada, Star Wars Armada. That came out earlier this year. I really like that a lot. Maybe Cthulhu Wars is a close second.
I'm probably gonna have to say Cthulhu Wars.
Yeah, Cthulhu Wars is really good.
No dungeon crawlers on top 10, huh?
No, we played the campaign of Imperial Assault, and that is, I think, like 30 in my 30s. I think I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, it's in my 30s, but there's just other games I like a lot more. And in fact, it's not even my highest dungeon crawler. I think my highest dungeon crawler is, if memory serves, I think it's level 7 Omega Protocol. Is my favorite dungeon crawler. So.
Okay.
All right. With that in mind, we are here once again. I am Cody.
George.
Holly.
And so let us know what you think. Please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on the discriminatinggamer.com. Please like us on Facebook or subscribe to us on YouTube. We are the Discriminating Gamer. And I think if you're going to take away anything from this video, it's that we all really, really love Cthulhu Wars. So, adios!
Woo!
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't.
And these games. Start repeating again. Start repeating again. And these games.
I was looking at something.
That's fine. Just repeat. And these games.
that
you play are the best. So he says. To be viewed. On YouTube. Are the top. Repeat that part.
Sorry.
Top 100 games. There's a guy who likes games, and the best that he's played are the ones that just say to be viewed on YouTube, and the games that he plays are the best that he says are the top 100 games.
I thought it was around.
It was supposed to be.